Okay, so this is probably my most requested tutorial so far, and that is how to make environment slash terrain. And there's quite a few different ways you can do this. I already have one tutorial of how to generate a random height map, and it's called creating a random height map slash terrain in Photoshop. I will leave a link down below. And I will show off all the different techniques I'm using. The first one, as you can see here, is my sand torque track, and on this track I've pretty much basically only used raise and lower tool, or pretty much only raise. And as you might see, this kind of plateau is pretty flat, so I assume I did have this raise with some, so I didn't have it at 0 as you might usually have, so I probably had it around there, created the height I wanted, and pretty much went with it and smoothed the edges. So that's one way to do it. Pretty much all the stuff here I have used just a big brush, raise, 0 focus, and then just dragged around a little bit. Obviously I've been thinking a little bit of what I want to have leveled or not, but that's the main procedure. So let's see, go over there and see how the terrain looks. And I don't know if you've played this track before, but usually in this area right here it isn't really any elevation. I can make some on the right edge as well, but by just dragging a little bit you can actually get a pretty decent elevation, just like that. It's not really hard, just drag around with the raise tool, and that's pretty much it. The second way is to use gradients, and the second way is to use gradient. The second way is to use gradients, and that works best if you already have an idea how the track should be. I will give you an example of this right away. So here's a trail I'm working on, and I had the idea that it should be a valley, so I naturally raised up all the edges, and this is what it looks like. So you can see here it is a valley pretty much, and I'm quite satisfied with it, so I'm going to show you what I did. And this time I used gradients, so I went to gradient placements, and then I pretty much drew a gradient like this. I don't know why I didn't keep them, but pretty much like this. And then you can see set from terrain, that's how the gradient looks like. On this edge right here you may notice there's a raising, like a plateau. I did the same thing. I placed the gradient over at this place instead. Went to gradient edit, set from terrain, and then I made a plateau at this point, used linear paint, and as you can see I did it for a little bit, and then it was pretty much all good. Also you have to use the smooth tool to get smooth edges, but that's pretty much it. For these edges I put a gradient like this, pretty much a gradient just like that one over here, but I put one this way and I put one this way, and I used linear paint with raise only, because if you use raise only it won't delete this stuff over here. If I have it to assign, you can see all this gets deleted. So that's really quick, but I hope it made sense. So gradients to get like some slopes, really good for a valley, and then I used a little bit of smoothing, and that's it. So for the further example here, I have another track. On this track I started out by making a random height map in Photoshop, and as I said I have a tutorial on that, so I'll leave that link in the description. And then I set the minimum and maximum values for the height map to probably 0 to somewhere between 20 and 40 feet. so I wouldn't get too big height differences. And I go over that in the tutorial with Photoshop. But for this one, I just used those values, and then I decided I wanted a hill. So I have a few gradients, as you can see. First one looks like this. I wanted flat here in the beginning, so it's flat until approximately, as you can see, this point. Then I wanted a slope, as you can see, from these ones. And then I wanted flat between here, another slope, and then a lot of flat up on the top. So that's what I painted this one with. Next one, in the middle, I wanted this pattern. So as you can see, it's not really flat here, so it's a more continuously slope. And for the last one, I used a little bit of a different one. I'll start with making this one here linear paint, almost full circle, or even full. I think I did full, not sure. I'll start by going to the edge, have the focus on one, painting one side, and as we can see right over there, that's how it is. I'll start by painting the next one, the one in the middle. Linear paint, make a line, drag it all the way over, and as you can see, I have somewhere to start now. And the last one, linear paint, and on the edge. So let's see. So if you roll around here, we can see that we got this big wobbly thingy, and you get this really big ugly edges. So we go to the smooth tool, zero in focus, zoom in a little bit, not that much, and then just use the smooth until it's somewhere good. Might even have to go beyond 3. And then until it looks somewhat not made up. As you can see, this is a pretty respectable terrain. If you have already created a random height map to start with and want to use this technique, you have to use linear add instead of paint, because add adds to the current terrain, and that means it will keep the current random height and then add onto it, and then add the mountains, so you'll have the complete random height difference on the mountain. So you'll just have to paint as close to the edge as you can, preferably press L to use line. So you can see so close as you can, and then you'll have to smooth out in between. So yeah, that's pretty much how to create terrain. So either go with raise tool to create some hills, go with gradients, or in Photoshop. And it all depends. If you just want to have some nice random hills, raise is fine. If you want to have sort of a valley, I suggest gradient. And if you just want to have some 100% random terrain, I would go with Photoshop. So that's how to create some terrain, environment, whatever you want to call it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and could follow along. I know that I might not have explained too well, so if you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'll answer as soon as I see them. So, see ya!